Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to install Windows 10 to a virtual machine. So I'm going to click New. I'm going to type in Windows, W-I-N-D-O, Windows 10. You want to change the version to Windows 10 32-bit and then type Microsoft Windows, so make sure that we got all that right. We hit Next. The amount of memory that we're going to give this, or RAM, is 2048 or 2048, 2 gigs of RAM. Hit Next. Hit Create. Make sure VDI is checked and hit Next. Make sure Dynamically Allocated is checked and hit Next. I'm going to hit Create. Now that I have that done, I'm going to double click on Windows 10. I am going to click on this little folder with the caret, and I need to, it's right there on the share drive, but how I get there is I click on Computer, I double click on the share drive, I double click on Main West, I double click on Students, I double click on AAT, I find Cybersecurity down here, double click on that, and here it is, Windows 10 32-bit x86. So I click Open, and I click Start. Again, an ISO file is it's a virtual CD. So by selecting that ISO file, we are virtually inserting the DVD that contains the Windows 10 installation files into this virtual machine. And just like I did in the last video, I covered what a virtual machine is. This is like a computer within my computer. So we call this actual computer the host machine, and we call this our virtual machine. It's a computer within our computer. So we're going to click Next once the screen pops up, and then we're going to hit Install Now. So again, the reason we want to be using virtual machines is you could see before I had a Windows 7 computer. We're also going to have a Windows 10 computer, obviously. Hit this, we're going to hit I don't have a product key, and then we're going to find Windows 10 Pro x86. Make sure you select Pro, Windows 10 Pro x86, and then I hit Next. So aside from a Windows 10 and Windows 7 machine, we accept the license. We're also going to have a Kali Linux machine and a Windows Server 2016. We're going to hit Custom and then hit Next. So it's important that we have all of these different virtual machines installed on our one host machine so that you're able to basically simulate having multiple computers right in front of you, and we can run attacks and try different things to prevent attacks on these different machines. And then if you mess up your machine, or a virus gets installed, or malware, or something happens, you can just use snapshots to restore the machine, and you didn't actually break the computer, you just broke your virtual machine, which is not as big of a deal. So right now, just like the Windows 7 machine, it is going to just copy all the files, and this is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm going to pause my video. Just like the Windows 7 machine, it's going to restart, and if you touch a key while the virtual machine is restarting, even if you're like on a different browser or something like that, it's going to mess up your installation. So it's really important that when your virtual machine restarts, that you don't touch any key on your keyboard. I'm going to pause the video right now, and I will resume it as soon as I have to do something else. Okay, I know I just mentioned this, but you'll notice it says Windows needs to restart. This is the first time my Windows 10 machine is restarting. So it's going to restart now, and I need to make sure that while it's restarting, I do not touch the keyboard. So make sure that do not touch anything that's on the keyboard right now. Alright, and now Windows 10 is loading up for the first time. Once Windows 10 has finished installing, then we still need to do a few things. We're going to have to install Virtual Machine Guest Editions, and then we're also going to have to take a snapshot. So once this is 100% done, installed, we're still not done yet. So it's a pretty quick process. And again, just like in the Windows 7 installation, I am going to ask that you show me that you know how to get a snapshot and how that all works. So again, while this is getting ready, I'm just going to pause the video, and then as soon as I have to enter anything, I will resume it. All right, we're almost there.
Hi
The,
there, I'm Cortana, and I'm here to help.
the computer had to
A
restart.
little sign in here, a touch of Wi-Fi there, and we'll have your PC ready for all you plan to do.
Okay, yes, so our computer had to
Use your
restart one
voice
more
or the
time.
keyboard along the way, and if you'd like me to stay quiet, just select the little microphone icon towards
Right
the bottom.
there. Yeah, I don't want to listen to Cortana right now. So anyway, the computer had to restart one more time, and now we're going to have to set up. And again, when it's restarting, I made sure that I didn't touch any key on the keyboard while that was happening. Otherwise, it would have messed up the install. So this is the United States. Hit yes. Keyboard layout USA. Hit yes. Nope. We do not want to add a second keyboard layout. It's trying to figure out our network, which is fine. We'll mess with the network settings a little bit later. It may sit at this just a moment screen for quite a while. Just be patient and let it work. It's got a timeout at some point because it can't figure out the network settings. So you just have to be patient and let this go. Okay, so now we want to type in our username. So I'm going to use my username right there. G. Reichelt. Then I want to type in a password. Hit next. I'm going to confirm my password. Hit next. Security question. I'm going to type in nothing for all of these, just because I'm not going to show you what my answer would be for these. In case you try to hack me later, you won't know what I generally answer. I do not want to let Cortana be my personal assistant, so I'm going to hit no. Speech recognition, I'm going to turn that off. Find my device, I'm going to turn that off. Inking and typing, I'm going to turn that off. Location, turn that off. Diagnostic data, turn that off. Turn this off. And so make sure that app ID, turn that off. Make sure you turn all of these things off. No, 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 no. Alright, and then hit accept. By the way, those settings aren't necessarily what you would want to use when installing Windows 10 on your home PC, but for our case, we just kind of want to bypass a lot of that stuff, and we'll enable it in the future, but for right now, we want to keep all of that disabled. So now that I have all that, Windows 10 is going to go ahead and try to get me started. It's going to say this might take several minutes, don't turn off your PC. So I'm just going to go ahead and, again, let this run here for a little bit, and I'm going to pause the video while this is happening. Alright, and now Windows 10 has finished loading, which is good. So I can close out of this. Okay, the next thing I need to do is I need to install guest editions. So go to Device, Insert Guest Editions CD, and I can come down here and click on the little folder icon. This is still all loading up. I can click on this PC. There's my guest editions. So double click on guest editions. Find VBox Windows Editions x86. Double click on that. Hit yes. Hit next. Next. Install. Again, VirtualBox Guest Editions will speed up our virtual machines, number one. I'm going to hit install. And number two, it's going to allow our host machine, which is our actual physical computer, to be able to monitor and access the virtual machine a little bit better. So we want to make sure that we have this turned on. Okay, and then we want to click that reboot now. So I'll hit finish, and it's going to restart. I'm not done yet. As soon as this restarts, I'm going to power the machine off. I'm going to create a snapshot, and then I'll show you how I'm going to double check that the snapshot worked. Almost there. Alright, so good. Our Windows 10 PC loaded up. I click on that. It's going to ask me to type in my password, which I will do. By the way, I'm using a generic password. I'm not using a password that I use for anything else for this account, because later on you'll see we'll be breaking in to this account, so I don't want all of you to know that. Okay, I don't really care about Cortana, so I can get rid of that. I'm going to hit the start menu right down here, click on the little power button. Whoops, that's okay. Start menu, power button, shut down. Shut down this PC. Now that it's shut down, I'm going to take a snapshot. So I'll click take. We're going to call this right after install. Hit OK. And now let's just double check that this snapshot works. So I showed you how the Windows 7 snapshot worked. I'm going to go ahead and restore this snapshot a little bit differently than I did for the Windows 7, just so you see a different way of monitoring and using snapshots. So I'm loading up my Windows 10 PC. Alright. Click, type in my password. Alright, there we go. So now it's right here. So now let's say let's like, have a this time let's delete something. So I'm gonna go into my pictures. Actually, I'll go, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go into my pictures, and you notice there's this folder called camera roll. I'm gonna delete that folder, and then I'm going to empty the recycle bin. Okay, so that folder is deleted. Uh-oh, whoops, I didn't mean to delete that. I want that back. So how would I restore that? I'm going to go ahead and just power off my Windows 10 machine. So I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to click on Windows 10, Machine Tools, make sure that Machine Tools is open. You might, if you see this, we click on Snapshots. I click on this right after install, and I hit the Restore button right there. I uncheck this Create a Snapshot of the current machine state because I don't really care about it now. I just want to get that folder back, and I hit the Restore button. Now that that's been restored, I double click on Windows 10 again. It's going to launch, and you'll see as soon as this boots up, that folder that I had deleted, that I had lost, has been restored, will have been restored, which is really nice. So if you download a virus or malware, or you delete something that you shouldn't have done, or you mess with some settings, and then you're like, oh, I didn't mean to mess with those settings, you can always restore your machine back to this point. So we'll go ahead and log in. And then I'm going to open up my folder here. I click on pictures, and that folder is back. Perfect. Again, when you're shutting down these machines, don't click on the X right here and hit power off. That's the same as like ripping out the cord from the computer, and it can actually damage operating system files, and then you might have to reinstall your operating system. Shut it down the correct way by going to the Start menu, click on the power button right here. Whoops. There we go. Let's just give this a second. My machine's running very slowly. Click on the power button and then power the machine, shut it down, just like that. Okay, so hopefully you were able to successfully install Windows 10. Let me know.